Hello, welcome to Michelle Reads Books. Today we are talking about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. So I'll start out with a summary and then give you my opinion. The narrative opens 50 years ago with the Riddle family murdered at supper, and the groundsman Frank Bryce initially suspected but later cleared. An elderly Bryce wakes to see a light in the abandoned Riddle house, overhears Voldemort and Wormtail plotting to kill a boy named Harry Potter, and is killed when Voldemort notices him. Harry Potter wakes in the night with a throbbing pain in the scar Voldemort gave him and fears Voldemort's return. Writing to Sirius Black about the pain, the next morning Uncle Vernon receives a letter from the Weasleys inviting Harry to join them at the Quidditch World Cup, and Vernon reluctantly agrees to let him go. The Weasleys arrive to fetch Harry through the Dursleys' boarded-up fireplace. The twins' trick Toffee causes Dudley's tongue to engorge, and the Dursleys panic and throw things at Mr. Weasley as the Weasleys depart. Harry then reaches the burrow, where he meets Bill and Charlie and is greeted by Mrs. Weasley, who scolds the twins for their Weasley's Wizard Wheezes and for giving them to Dudley. Early the next morning, the Weasleys, Harry, and Hermione travel to the Quidditch World Cup via Portkey and pitch their tent at the World Cup campground. Ludo Bagman arrives and places a wager with Fred and George. Then Harry, Ron, and Hermione buy souvenirs and head to the top box, where they meet Winky, the house elf, saving a seat for her master. The game begins with a show from the mascots. Ireland wins, but Victor Crumb catches the snitch. That night, Death Eaters attack and torture 4 muggles by levitation, forcing Harry, Hermione, and Ron to flee into the woods, where Harry discovers his wand is missing. The dark mark shines in the sky, and Winky is found holding a wand at the scene, implying she cast the mark using Harry's missing wand. After returning from the Quidditch World Cup, the teens travel to Hogwarts for school. At the sorting and dinner, Dumbledore announces that Hogwarts will host the Triwizard Tournament, and that Mad-Eye Moody will be the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Moody proves his skill when he turns Malfoy into a ferret for attacking Harry while his back is turned. In his class, he covers the 3 unforgivable curses, Imperius, Cruciatus, and Avada Kedavra. Hermione forms a society advocating freeing house elves and asks Harry and Ron to wear badges. Over time, Harry learns to ward off the Imperius curse. In late October, delegates from Beauxbaton and Durmstrang arrive, and the Goblet of Fire selects 4 champions, Cedric Diggory, Fleur Delacour, and Victor Crumb. And surprisingly, Harry Potter. Although Harry is underage, the Goblet's decision is final, and he is compelled to compete, causing tension with Ron and mixed excitement for Gryffindor. Harry faces doubt about who places his name in the Goblet, and Rita Skeeter's sensational article about his past inflames the situation. A late-night walk with Hagrid leads to a glimpse of the first task, dragons, and Sirius warns Harry via the Gryffindor fireplace about Karkaroff's possible Death Eater past, and Moody's suspicious presence at Hogwarts. On the day of the task, Moody's advice helps Harry use his broom to outfly the dragon and retrieve the golden egg, earning high marks and reconciling with Ron. Professor McGonagall announces that the Yule Ball is near, and partners must be found. Harry learns Cho is Cedric's date. Hermione won't reveal hers, and is irritated when Ron treats her as a last-minute option. So Harry and Ron end up with the Patil twins for their dates. That night at the ball, Ron wears awful dress robes and stares at Hermione, who is Victor Crumb's date, while Harry frets over Cho and Cedric. Later, while walking with Ron, they overhear Hagrid tell Madame Maxime that he is half-giant like her, which she vehemently denies. The next day, Rita Skeeter publishes an insulting piece about giants. After Hermione defends Hagrid, they persuade him to return, and he thanks them by asking Harry to win the tournament. Later, on advice from Cedric, Harry takes the egg to the bathroom, where it sings underwater, promising an hour to reclaim something from the lake. On the way back, while using the invisibility cloak and checking on the Marauder's map, he drops the egg when he notices Barty Crouch in Snape's office. But Moody arrives, retrieves the egg, and asks to borrow the map. On the second task, with help from Dobby, Harry uses gillyweed to breathe underwater, locating Hermione, Ron, Cho, and Fleur's sister in a merpeople village. When Fleur doesn't arrive, Harry insists on saving both Ron and Fleur's sister and earning high marks for his moral fiber. Soon after, Rita Skeeter publishes a sensational piece claiming Hermione toys with the hearts of both Harry and Krum. The next day, Harry overhears Karkaroff confiding to Snape that something on his arm has returned. In Hogsmeade, the trio meets Sirius Black, disguised as Padfoot, who reveals that Mr. Crouch's son has been convicted as a Death Eater, and notes Mr. Crouch's absence and Winky guarding a secret at the World Cup. Back at Hogwarts, they visit the kitchens and give socks to Dobby, where Winky, drunk and saddened, mentions she is guarding a secret for her ex-master. 4 champions are shown the maze grounds the day before the third task, and on the way back, Krum asks Harry about Hermione. A disheveled Mr. Crouch suddenly appears, stuns Krum, and vanishes, prompting Sirius to warn Harry to be careful and practice his hexes. In divination, Harry dreams of Voldemort and awakens screaming, leading him to Dumbledore, who later pulls him from a pensive of Death Eater trials and warns that Voldemort is growing stronger. Rita Skeeter prints an article about Harry's fainting. At the third task, Harry and Cedric are the last 2. Touch the trophy together, which is revealed to be a portkey that transports them to a graveyard. There, Cedric is killed by Wormtail as Voldemort returns and summons Death Eaters. A duel ensues, and Harry casts a disarm charm at the same time Voldemort casts a killing curse. The wands connect, Voldemort's past victims emerge to shield Harry, and Harry seizes Cedric's body and touches the trophy to return to Hogwarts. Upon Harry's return, Moody pulls him into the castle and is revealed to be a Death Eater who arranged Harry's name in the goblet and turned the trophy into a portkey. Dumbledore and the teachers intervene before Moody can kill Harry, and it is revealed that Moody is really Barty Crouch Jr., in disguise, who has been posing as Moody using Polyjuice Potion. Snape administers Truth Serum, and Crouch explains how his father smuggled him out of prison, and how Voldemort returned after Bertha Jorkins uncovered him. Dumbledore then discusses the graveyard events with Harry and Sirius, explaining that Harry and Voldemort's wands share the same phoenix feather core, so their spells are forced to regurgitate when they meet. The term ends with Fudge refusing to heed warnings of Voldemort's power, and a final dinner in which Dumbledore outlines Cedric's murder and the looming darkness. On the return trip, Hermione reveals Rita Skeeter is a beetle, while Harry gives his Triwizard Tournament winnings to the Weasley twins to fund their prank shop and buy Ron new robes before returning to the Dursleys for the summer. So this volume of the Harry Potter series is the first book that is really written for teens. I did mention in the last book that I felt like the material was a little bit more mature, but the reading level wasn't really. This one, the reading level is solidly higher. The chapters are probably 50% longer than the previous books, and the print is much smaller. Like, there's a lot of differences that makes it very clear this is a higher reading level. Yeah, and it is a lot more difficult to read than the previous 3 books. It's also very complex. I feel like it's one of the stories that is the most complex of all of them, excepting possibly the 7th book. But this one has a lot of different stages and has a lot of different dynamics that is all like being woven together. I do think it's done very well, but it's just a little bit, it's a little bit long, and it's a little bit sad. At the end of the book, I actually needed to take a break from the Harry Potter series because it's a difficult book to read, in my opinion, knowing what happens at the end. And it's really sad to me that, like, when Cedric dies and the whole graveyard scene is terrifying. And then when you know that that Voldemort is back, and then Harry tries to tell everybody, and the only person who really believes him is Dumbledore. Like, nobody else does, really. And then having Moody suddenly, like, turn on him, and, like, when he was trying to help him the entire time, and it turns out that Moody had put his name into the goblet, not hoping that he'd get killed, but to make sure that he won. That's crazy. And, yeah, like, how practical would that be if there were such a thing? I don't think that would be something that happened. Like how could you like commit to participating in a tournament that you didn't actually enter? Yeah. And when Harry says, I didn't enter, then it should have been the end of it. It should have been like, oh, okay, well, we have 3 champions. It's all good. Yeah. And just let it go. Like saying that it's basically signing a contract to have your name in it. Like, what if somebody else put your name in it? Yeah. And clearly it's possible to do. So, like, then it can possibly be a contract because it's, you can't have a contract that you enter into unwillingly. Anyways, so that's like my opinion of that. There's no way they would have forced him to do it. And then he would just be like, well, if I just forfeit every round, then I don't have to participate. Yeah? See what I mean? Like, that's probably how it would have been handled practically if there were such, a world. Yeah, I understand where they're coming from, and they had to have something really exciting happen, and and having a sort of like multiple school tournament, that does make sense, but the way they went about it doesn't. Yeah. So there are a lot of little things that I think are very confusing. Also, the phoenix feather cores of the wands meeting in the middle doesn't really make sense either, because that would mean that anytime they both used a spell at the same time, that would happen every time. Yeah. And obviously that happens at the end of the 7th book as well, but then it wasn't even the phoenix feather core. So it doesn't make sense to me that it was because of that, or also that like, I don't know, that detail doesn't really make sense. If you think about it, it just isn't quite something that's logical, like a logical like follow-up. So there are a few little like magical, I guess you would say, things that they kind of gloss over, but yeah. And so the thing is, I don't dislike the Harry Potter series, otherwise I wouldn't have read the whole thing. However, I feel like there's a good handful of plot holes. And it just, like, that Cedric became the champion just to be killed was also stupid. Like, it's annoying. Not only annoying, but like, it's like they just wanted to add more drama, make Voldemort more evil, like make it abundantly clear that Voldemort was bad. Because up to that point, he hadn't done anything terrible in the books. But dude, just from his reputation, it should have been enough. But I feel like in this book, several things were added in order to make him more evil than before. Like Frank Bryce. Killing the groundskeeper, that wasn't necessary. Dude, like, use a memory charm. It's not that hard. Like a little obliviate, now you don't remember me. Yeah? You know what I mean? Like, come on. Come on. It's gratuitous. It's gratuitous murder at this point. I feel like this one is actually darker than it needs to be. And it's like manufactured bad things that happen. And yeah, it bothers me a little. It does. Also, that so many people had crushes at age 14. Not everybody has crushes at age 14. I know I didn't, and I don't think that everybody does. And I think that it's relatively normal to talk about like puberty things, but not necessarily having people pair off. That's a little weird. And then like the Yule Ball and making it a big deal and stuff. And okay, you take a date to the Yule Ball, that's not that serious. It's not that serious. And that's why going with the Patil twins was like, oh, that makes sense, Because otherwise I don't think they would have gone because of their age. They weren't necessarily invited. Anyways, I just think that it's a lot of manufactured drama. That's my opinion. Anyway, so let me know what your opinion is in the comments below. I know a lot of people really, really love this book, so I'm not trying to disparage it in any way. I'm just saying that there's a lot, it's darker than it needed to be. That is my opinion. Anyways, it was quite long. It's significantly longer than the previous books. I believe the last book was 9 hours. This one took me 14. So it's much longer and much more difficult to read. Anyway, leave your opinions in the comments below, and happy reading.